We have just witnessed one of the greatest injustices in modern times. A chief constable who's been thrown under the bus for doing the right thing.
Yeah, it shows the power of the Zionist lobby in this country, isn't it? Because he stopped a riot in the second city, Birmingham, and for his pains, he's had to retire. He's been forced to retire, and I think he felt that, you know, the hassle was just too much. The pressure was just too much. The government, Shabana Mahmood, were piling pressure on him. The Zionist lobby were, the media were.
Protest rights are being restricted now. Palestinians are being criminalized. You have a doctor here who's been arrested multiple times. There's so many people who are being arrested or having their front doors kicked in because of tweets about Israel. Do you know what I mean? So our free speech is being eroded because of this. And all of the things that Muslims are being attacked for right now, it's literally the ones who are guilty of it is the Zionists, but they're telling their proxies to blame Muslims for those crimes. So censorship. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored with me, Robert Carter and Roshan Saleh. Now, there's something going on here, Roshan, and I've figured it out. No one else has figured this out, Roshan. The mainstream media are not talking about it. They can't figure out. The politicians are not talking about it. No one seems to realize what's happened here in this country, but I've got it. I've figured it out.
Go on, what's happening?
We've been taken over. There is an invasion. We've been conquered already. It's too late. Not too late, but we've been done in.
They're changing our way of life.
And do you know what? It's not Islam. Believe it or not. It's not Muslims who have taken over. It's the Zionists.
Yeah.
It's the Zionists. And we've got a prime example here.
Absolutely.
This is not a conspiracy theory. This is an actual fact. And I can give you some evidence to back up my opinion here. West Midlands police chief has been forced to resign by the government and the Zionist lobby. So many of our viewers will be aware of this story. It's of the West Midlands police chief who has basically been bullied. It's a soft way of putting it. He's been bullied into retirement in his prime. But he doesn't look retirement age to me, Roche.
I think he's 52, so he's got another 10 years.
Few years on him.
Yeah, he's got another 10 years.
He's basically been strong-armed into retiring after he enacted and supported a ban on Israeli football fans from attending one game that was meant to take place in Birmingham last year.
Yeah.
Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Now, this is a fan base known for racist Islamophobic chanting, known for hooliganism in Europe specifically, and even in Israel itself, they go around attacking people and whatnot. So a vile, nasty fan base. He decided, you know what? I don't fancy seeing a riot in Birmingham, a very pro-Palestine city with a lot of Muslims in it. There's going to be trouble here. I think the responsible thing to do is to not allow the fans to come. Then all of a sudden, oh, he's anti-Semitic, maybe. Oh, we've got to investigate him. Oh, we've got to retire him. Oh, we've got to persecute him. And that's basically what's happened here. The government has supported the witch hunt against him. And of course, pro-Israel activists, media personalities, groups, they're all going after him. But retirement isn't even enough.
No.
He's out of the picture now. They've won. They've managed to take down a police chief in his prime. They're still not happy, Roshan.
They want to destroy his life.
They want to destroy his life. So there isn't, I think he's been referred to the police watchdog. An investigation is underway. And before I bring your reaction in on this, Roshan, perhaps we'll play out a segment by the MP for Birmingham Bury Bar, Ayub Khan, who's been very outspoken on this issue and has done his best to defend. Believe it or not, there is a British politician who will defend British interests, and that is a Muslim independent. It's not the government, it's not everyone else. It has to fall to a Muslim to do it. And let's hear what he said following the news of his retirement.
I think it's truly a dark and shameful chapter for Birmingham, for West Midlands, and for the whole country, to be frank. We have just witnessed one of the greatest injustices in modern times. A chief constable who's been thrown under the bus for doing the right thing. We all know that the Cook report has identified 4 very significant points which have been brushed under the carpet. Number 1, his decision was impartial. Number 2, there was no political interference in his decision. Number 3, there was no anti-Semitism. And most significantly, there was no malign intent. So no dishonesty. A chief constable has given his decision on banning of what we all know, and it's undisputed, fans and ultra base that were targeting specifically Muslims, the day before the match in Amsterdam. He protected Brummies, he protected the local communities, and he has been thrown under the bus for doing his job.
So, Roshan, what's your reaction to this?
Yeah, it shows the power of the Zionist lobby in this country, isn't it? Because he stopped a riot in the second city, Birmingham, and for his pains, he's had to retire. He's been forced to retire, and I think he felt that, you know, the hassle was just too much. The pressure was just too much. The government, Shabana Mahmood, were piling pressure on him. The Zionist lobby were, the media were. I think Birmingham Council withdrew their confidence in him. So he was like, oh, you know, I can't do my job now, so at least let me retire with a pension. So he's taken that way out, that kind of deal. But now I think they're after his pension as well. They want to destroy his life. So, I mean, they've got him on a few technicalities. You know, they obviously, when he appeared in front of the parliamentary committee, he made some small mistakes in terms of detail. Like, instead of using Google to find something out, he used AI, you know, instead of, you know, and they made such a big deal out of this. They amplified it. They said, oh, he's lied to Parliament.
There was one.
It was just details. It was nothing.
Yeah, there was one fact that they got wrong. They said that there was a match that didn't exist or something.
Against West Ham.
West Ham.
So they'd done a little bit of shoddy research. There were some details they got wrong, but the main issue was that they banned racist, Islamophobic, violent hooligans from coming to Birmingham. They got that right. Anyone can see that these guys are the worst of the worst when it comes to a fan base of any football club. So it was completely the right decision, but the Zionists just got him on a few technicalities, got him on a few details, amplified that. Obviously, they control politicians in this country. They control the media to a large extent in this country, especially the mainstream media. And their power, and they are loyal to a foreign state, a hostile foreign state. You know, we get accused of not being loyal to Britain, but we ain't loyal to any foreign state. You know, Muslims, we're loyal to Islam, but we're not loyal to Saudi Arabia or Jordan or Iran, or some people might be, but, you know, generally Muslims aren't. Whereas these guys, they are loyal to a genocidal foreign state, Israel, and they are literally in this country to protect Israel, to destroy anyone who crosses Israel, even in the slightest manner. That's their job. That's their full-time job. And when are we going to stand up? When are ordinary Brits, let alone Muslims are standing up to this lobby, but when are ordinary Brits going to say, no, this is our country? How dare you, how dare you kind of flip the narrative, throw innocent people under the bus, interfere with our politics, interfere with our media, interfere with our policing, etc., etc. You know, this is our sovereign, independent country, and we're not going to be run at the behest of Tel Aviv.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Shabana Maccabi Mahmood, I think we should call her, Maccabi Mahmood, she's a total disgrace. She's not only, I think, betrayed this country, you know, at large, but I think she's betrayed a lot of the values that she's claimed to represent in the past.
Careerists.
Betrayed her community, she's betrayed British Muslims, she's betrayed Birmingham as a city. I mean, how she could not reach the same conclusion after knowing everything that we know about Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, knowing the context of the Israeli genocide on Palestinians in Gaza and the impact that that's had here in the UK, socially and politically, how could she not reach the same conclusion that we are, that, okay, there's a serious issue here, we have a city which we should protect, and that this, you know, defending the rights of foreign fans, not even a foreign country or a regime, but just their nasty, racist, Islamophobic, I mean, some of their chants are pro-rape, these rapey fans, allowing their rights to come here and to engage in this match. Just, what are you doing? I can't believe. And then she'll come in the next general election, Roche, and she'll say, oh, you know,
she's out.
Mashallah, Assalamu alaikum, please vote for me to get reform out, and I'm a Muslim, and, you know, Muslim Home Secretary, I'm achieving great things for our community. Oh, really? Well, what's the point in having a Muslim Home Secretary if she just bends the knee to Zionist football thugs to rampage through her city and defend their rights to do that?
She's a goner at the next election, 100%.
So, inshallah,
but it's all about ambition. She's someone who has put the dunya over the akhirah. She's someone who has put her own personal ambition to be Home Secretary and perhaps one day Prime Minister above anything else, above her principles, above right and wrong. That's who Shabana Mahmood is. She's the worst of the worst when it comes to Muslim sellout politicians in this country. And it's not worth it, Shabana. You know, ultimately our lives are short. You know, our lives are short. You know, if we're lucky, we might get 80 years and then we face our Lord, you know, and you're going to your Lord, you know, with all these sins on you, public sins, not just private sins, public sins. And it's just not worth it, Shabana. But I mean, I think it's worth going through before we maybe move on is that, you know, the Zionists, I would say that they have control over two of our biggest institutions here, politics and media. And the mainstream media, despite 2 years of genocide, they're still treating Israel with kid gloves. They're still allowing genocide supporters on their platforms, in their newspapers, in their headlines, when they should be banned, you know? Yeah. If it was Muslims, if it was ISIS, if we were Muslims supporting ISIS, we wouldn't be allowed. Or we're still not allowed on mainstream platforms. You know, even the fact that we haven't killed anybody or kind of supported anyone's death, you know, or called for anyone's death.
Just ordinary Muslims aren't allowed on, are they?
Yeah, the ordinary Muslims. Yeah, these genocide supporters are treated with the given the red carpet treatment. So they got control of our mainstream media. Social media, alhamdulillah, you know, we can get alternative opinions on there, but even some social media are heavily pro-Israel as well, and some influences. Politicians. Just look at the amount of people in the Labour Party who are Labour friends of Israel. That shouldn't exist as an institution anymore. Who should be a friend of Israel after 2 years of genocide, after apartheid, racism, death and destruction? It's Conservative Party, most of those guys, you know, conservative friends of Israel. Reform, right in Tel Aviv's back pocket. You know, even the Greens are liberal Zionists, aren't they? They still recognize Israel's so-called right to exist. They criticize Israel, but they're still, I would say, liberal Zionists. The only party that has, you know, a reasonable policy on Israel, I would say, is your party, or Zara Sultana's wing anyway, not necessarily Jeremy Corbyn's wing. But they're a bit of an irrelevance, you know, they're a botched party that, let's face it, isn't going anywhere. Yeah. So literally they have our politicians in their back pocket and they have the mainstream media in the back pocket. This needs to change for Britain to regain its sovereignty.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, a lot of people saying that they're trying to re-establish or defend British sovereignty, these far-right nationalist types. Again, there's the same issue. They're split down the middle. There's ones who are, you know, they're nationalists and they're anti-immigration, but they're independent of pro-Israel lobby activities. And then you have the Tommy Robinson types who are literally in bed with Israel to the extent where they're going on state-sponsored tours and are being indoctrinated by them and pushing their propaganda onto Brits. So it's on all levels of society. Protest rights are being restricted now. Palestinians are being criminalized. You have a doctor here who's been arrested multiple times. There's so many people who are being arrested or having their front doors kicked in because of tweets about Israel. Do you know what I mean? So our free speech is being eroded because of this. And all of the things that Muslims are being attacked for right now, it's literally the ones who are guilty of it is the Zionists, but they're telling their proxies to blame Muslims for those crimes. So censorship, everyone says Muslims are censoring us. There's a conspiracy by Muslims to take over. You're not allowed to criticize Islam. No, actually, everyone criticizes Islam.
They do.
They desecrate the Quran. Yeah. They beat up Muslims in the street. They attack and visibly and verbally abuse them all the time, including their beliefs. The only ones you can't criticize, even like legitimately nowadays, is Zionism and Israel. And there's a famous quote, I forget who said it, maybe you remind me. If you want to know who's really in power, who really controls the world, look for the ones you can't criticize. You'll get in big trouble. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I believe in a conspiracy of like the Jews control the world. A lot of Jews are not Zionist, so we make that differentiation. But the fact is that Israel and its political proxies, they have too much power, too much representation. Just look at Westminster. If you was to make a graph and highlight, okay, you've got the LGBT community, their representation. You've got, black MPs, so the black community's representation. You've got Labour, you've got the Conservatives. What about the Israeli Zionist representation? It's basically like what 90%. The whole damn building.
When we talk about Zionists,
Zionism.
we're not just talking about Jews. We're talking about Christians as well, or atheists.
Absolutely.
They can be Zionists, and ultimately, that's why people say, why hasn't Israel got its own 24-hour news channel? Iran has, France has, Qatar has, and many others. And I will say they don't need it because they've got the mainstream media. Their policy. I mean, they've embedded themselves and infiltrated, British institutions for the last 100 years. They have basically, they're massively well-funded, they're massively well-organized, and they have the backing of states abroad, and they're using that power to silence dissenting opinion. Anyone that criticizes Israel or anyone that criticizes Zionism, that is the ultimate test. As I said to you, they don't care if you're a Muslim or you're a Jew or you're a Christian or you're an atheist. As long as you're pro-Israel, you're fine. And they'll let you do what you want. As soon as you cross the line, whatever religion or lack of religion, then they'll go for you and try and destroy your life. Yeah. And I just think it's time. And a lot of us are going to have to suffer for this, lose our jobs, lose our livelihoods. But I think, just to expose what's going on, so that change can come about and Britain can regain its sovereignty. I think this is a campaign, this is a hill we're willing to die on, and this is a campaign we're willing to lead.
Absolutely. You did mention Reform UK earlier, and there is a story which I think we should discuss. They've announced their candidate to be London Mayor, and it's Laila Cunningham, who is a recent addition to the Reform UK movement. She's a former Conservative figure who went and joined the new movement. She's of Egyptian origin, but she was born and educated here, I believe. She has been described, I think she does describe herself as a Muslim. Yeah. But if you actually see and listen to her on the subject of Islam, it's hard to sort of make out any Muslimness about her.
She's a Muslim that hates Islam and Muslims and sides with all our enemies and amplifies all their talking points.
And just give you an example of this, because I don't want to be accused of being, you're targeting a woman or whatever. Let's just play out a little bit of Laila Cunningham's opinion about what she thinks about the burqa, which will come after, but also her views on anti-Muslim hatred. So surely...
Is this recent?
This is a little bit dated. This is earlier this year, I think. She's appeared on GB News a few times. It says January 9th there. So yeah, not too long ago. Let's hear her comments about anti-Muslim hatred. Surely a Muslim would condemn anti-Muslim hatred, right? Because she's Muslim, right? But let's
She's going to say it's our fault. I haven't seen this, so... Yeah.
But I can understand anti-Muslim hatred, because when you see Muslim terrorists, when you see a government that's trying to impose Sharia law, when you see Muslim rape gangs,
not trying to impose Sharia law, that's utter rubbish.
When they allow Sharia courts, when they're trying to impose Islamophobia laws, when they're allowing Muslim rape gangs to get away with it, obviously there is Muslim hatred. That's all they see. You can't blame them, because some Muslim communities come to this country and expect the country to change for them. And when it doesn't, they're called racist. But there's nothing racist about trying to protect your values, British values and way of life. It's called patriotism. And that's something that Labour have to recognise.
What did she say about the burqa?
She recently gave an interview. I don't actually have the video of it. I think it's behind a paywall or something, but it was widely reported. She basically said that women who wear burqas need to be stopped and searched, that they're a potential threat. Okay. The comments were branded as dangerous, and she was condemned for it. And she basically said that London is some kind of Muslim city, pushing this idea that Muslims have taken over. And under Sadiq Khan, there's some kind of Sharia takeover of the capital, and, it has to be fought back. And the stupidest thing about all of this is that Laila herself, because that she's Egyptian, because she's of Muslim heritage, she herself has been attacked because of that after Reform UK announced her as a candidate for mayor by right-wing forces within
they think she's infiltrating
far-right movement. So they've condemned
they
Nigel
think she's
Farage.
One of us infiltrating, right?
Basically, they're saying
she ain't
because obviously you can clearly see that, but because she's of Muslim stock, and she doesn't look white, I think that's the elephant in the room that they're not happy with. Even though she's pushing all of their bullshit talking points, all of the Islamophobia that they are that they enjoy, that they want out there. She's pushing all of the right points. They're still not happy with her on the right. And they're still saying, oh, Nigel Farage just put a bloody Muslim candidate in a city. I thought we were supposed to get rid of the Muslim candidate, the Muslim mayor, and now he's putting his own one in. This is outrageous. So yeah, there's a bit of a civil war over this. And she's you know, she's just pushing.
I mean, reform.
She's pushing the kind of ideology that would see people like her parents, Egyptians living in this country, attacked in the street and accused of, I mean, her dad might get accused of being a pedo or something because of the way he looks. And she has no issue with that whatsoever. She's like, no, I understand anti-Muslim hate. I think it's very understandable. Really? Will you feel that way when your mum is spat on or has a beer can chucked at her head?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if she wears the hijab, but just based on the fact that she looks Arab, she might get assaulted at the moment, the way it's going. And she's totally fine with that. She understands it. Is that what you're going to say to the guy who assaults your mum, are you?
It's typical Reform UK,
I
isn't it?
understand why you did it.
They pulled the same trick with Zia Yusuf, isn't it? Because obviously they got Zia Yusuf on board because he's got loads of cash. So he made a large donation. That's how I think he bought his way in. But he was also useful because he was a brown face, nominally Muslim, kind of amplifying their talking points.
Yeah.
And they pulled the same trick here with Laila Cunningham.
And I think
they know that London is a Muslim city. No, sorry. Oh, I'm not the cat.
You admitted it. Oh my God. Sorry, it's out there now.
No, they know that London there are a lot of Muslims in London, is what I should have said. There's 1 million Muslims in London, more than that probably. Yeah. With all the illegal immigration and all the no, I'm just joking. No, so there's like there's 1 in 9 Muslims. Londoners is a Muslim. Is what I hear, which is a lot. So obviously they think, all right, let's get this Muslim candidate in there so that we can get a few more votes from people saying, oh, we're not Islamophobic. It's just a stupid tactic, and we can see through it. We're too educated, or most of us are too educated. We're still in the process of, there are some stupid Muslims out there, unfortunately, still. A lot of them seem to vote for Labour. But, we're slowly educating, and I think we're winning the battle.
Yeah, I think that this, we're going to make sure that she doesn't win, I think, because, the Muslim vote in London is important.
I don't think she's got a chance.
She hasn't got a chance on a normal day, but I think, we'll just make sure that she doesn't secure anything.
Unfortunately, I think Sadiq Khan will again. I mean, it's a bit of a dilemma in London. I mean, I could never vote for Sadiq Khan. I would encourage Muslims not to vote for Sadiq Khan simply because I just think, he's a guy that, he says he's a Muslim and he wears that on his sleeve. Yet he goes out and blatantly contradicts Islamic values. And I think that is a distortion of what Islam is. And I think he's a guy who distorts Islam, which I think is very dangerous. On that basis alone, I wouldn't vote for him. Apart from, putting up the ULEZ and what else, the congestion charge on the weekends and basically screwing Londoners for every penny that we've got. And we haven't got that much. But if you look at the alternatives, there's Susan Hall, the Tory candidate is a right-wing nutter, hates Muslims. Reform UK hate Muslims. I don't know, Green maybe or something like that. But
maybe give the Greens a go, just because if I do vote for anything these days, it's just to throw a spanner in the works most of the time or to get behind that Muslim vote
Even
initiative.
your party, if they put in a good London candidate, maybe we can get behind that. I think we also need to send Sadiq Khan a message that he's not going to automatically get the Muslim vote. Yeah. Anyway, who cares? It's in 4 years' time, right?
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But I just think that, Reform UK, I think we've all kind of acknowledged the fact that they are hostile to us they're hostile to minorities based on their anti-immigration stance. But let's also not forget that they have an obsession with taking on Islam itself. It's not just, we don't like immigrants. They actually don't like Islam itself. They've gone after the concept of Sharia. They don't even know what it means, but they're going after it anyway. They're going after the burqa, which is, even some Muslims would be like, it's not a big deal. No, that's how it starts. What's going to come after that? And they're just demonizing Muslims left, right, and center. And I think if they get in power, what we're looking at is a party which will outlaw sort of any and all Muslim organizations for silly reasons. They'll want to stop mosques being built or take some away. We'll start seeing what's happening in France here possibly. So let's be aware of that.
Yeah, this is the big project for British Muslims, I think, in the years ahead. And I think we have to get serious about it and get our heads around the table and brainstorm ideas and get organized, because as things stand, Reform UK could well form the next government. They're probably going to be the biggest party in the next parliament. And I don't think there's much we can do to stop that, on current trends. But I think we can stop them from being a majority in the parliament, and therefore they won't be able to pass legislation very easily. I think that should be our goal, to expose their project as an inherently Islamophobic, racist project. But also, to get non-Muslim allies on our side as well, people that are like-minded, that want to stop this racist Islamophobic project from, basically, and also, quite frankly, traitorous project, because, I'm sure that, if Donald Trump threatened to invade the UK, and who knows, he might do, the current, trajectory he's on, Nigel Farage would side with the Americans. He would be the Vichy-style prime minister. GB News would be the Quisling propaganda station. So I actually think. I mean, now we have a bit of a split, don't we, between the UK and America over Greenland. America wants to take over Greenland, so they're directly threatening NATO and Europe. So for the first time, we have a situation where Europe is really uncomfortable about this American president, because he's directly threatening their interests, threatening to take over their territory. And what did GB News do? They side with Trump. All their commentators are basically siding with Trump over the interests of the UK. Yes. So these guys are traitors. They are literally America first, Israel first. They're not UK first.
Yeah, they just want Britain to be like a vassal state. And sign up to the United States.
Absolutely.
So they are traitors. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, what can you say?
But yeah, this is a project that we have to stop, and we have to be serious about stopping it, because, as you say, if they come to power, we'll all be in their crosshairs. Yeah. They will definitely go for Muslims. They will try to, close our bank accounts. They will try to restrict our freedom of speech. They will try to deport loads of us. Yeah. That's what they're all about. And thank God, the vast majority of non-Muslims in this country are not down with that project. That's not who they consider. I have many criticisms about this country, but it's not as if the majority of this country are fascist hate mongers. They're not. Yeah. And we need to ultimately find a way of working with them without compromising our values to stop this racist Islamophobic project.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to take a little break from the topics to talk about something which is basically of good to the community, I believe. We have received products from a brother who has started up a brand new fashion brand which is trying to bring East and West fashion together in a fashion revolution, Roshan, which I know you're going to want to be a part of. You are that fashion revolution kind of guy.
I'm the leading fashionista at Five Pillars,
in the Muslim movement.
And in fact, the whole world, not just
most fashionable man.
People follow my
on
fashion
the planet. Well, take a look at this, Roshan. So this is a brand called Double Cross, and it's run by a brother called Haitham Shamsan, who I've had the pleasure of speaking on the phone. This is a brother who's, he's had difficulty in the past, but he's turned his life around, and now he's started this brand. This is one of the products that he produces. It's like, it's like a shawl, an Arabic shawl, a scarf thing. And
how'd you put it on like this? I've never worn one.
So this brand is very much for the young. I think that's right to say. It's very cool, very young, very hip.
Like that?
You can wear it with a cap on your head.
Okay.
Or you can wear it around your shoulders, around your neck. They've got this particular way of tying it up, which you can see here. So you tie up
like a Saudi.
But it's a fantastic brand. They do all sorts of things, brothers and sisters. This is but a little taste. Double Cross. They do shirts, tops, and all sorts of things. And it's a brand which is run by Muslims for Muslims, but also it has a Palestinian culture about it in its branding and in its design.
That's what I thought.
And some of the profits from certain products which you purchase do actually go towards the Palestinian cause itself. So it's not a selfish brand by any means, but it's a great way for Muslims who are young, who know what fashion is all about, to invest in a brand where you know you're giving something back to your own community, as well as even good causes as well. So Double Crossed, check them out. They're on Instagram and other social media accounts. It's run by a brother, Haitham, and if you just send them a message, check out their website, you can view all of their beautiful products, including this. I mean, this is not silk, it's a silk-like material. I mean, even sisters might want to wear this, to be honest with you. I know there's a thing about silk, so I think there's men and women of interest in this brand. And to brother Haitham, I wish him all the best. He's had his product put out there on a few major Dawah brothers who have also got involved in pushing his product out there. I think there's a revolution happening here, and we should all get involved and help support this brother in order to make something really to become a pillar, I think, of the British Muslim fashion industry. What do you think, Roshan? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fashionista, as you know. I've never been into fashion at all. I do like my old shalwar kameez, though. Yeah, but I can't say much about it. But all I would say is that, Brother Haitham, the only payment that we got for that little advert was actually the shawls itself. So Jazakallah khair, brother. I'm not actually going to wear it myself, but I know my son might like it, and I know people that do, and it'll fit much better on them. And we'll advertise anything, brothers and sisters here. Chicken and chips, I like chicken and chips. Just send in anything, we'll advertise it.
I'm a bit thirsty. So we've also got this fantastic Muslim brand here, which does good juice drinks. Yeah. We've spoken about them on the show, but they're also worth trying.
Car. I do need.
Yeah, are there any Muslim Muslim dealerships out there? We're happy to promote. All right, we'll try the wares. All right, let's get back to the hard news now. So we've got an interesting story now, Roshan, that's popped up in a part of the Midlands which I know very well now. It's a particular group which is being described as an Islamic cult in the media and on social media. Now, it's been there for a year or so. It popped up out of nowhere. It purchased an old orphanage building and has turned it into what appears to be some kind of cult headquarters for this new religion. It's called the Ahmadi religion of peace and light.
Are they Qadianis?
Not to be confused with the Qadianis. They're completely new sect or whatever. And they have some bizarre beliefs. But the reason we're talking about it today is because footage of a weird training march thing that they did, like a paramilitary style training event that they did on the ground, has upset locals who are filming and witnessing this, sharing the footage on social media, and are alarmed because it appears to be some kind of paramilitary training taking place on the site. And the problem is they're being described as Muslims while they're doing this. So I'll just play out a clip now that went viral just a couple of days ago.
Group that's bought a house right near where I live. I don't know an awful lot about it. All I know is in 2021 this massive group all sold their houses and bought, it was an old orphanage where I'm from. Now, they've said that they're a religion of peace. Like I say, I can't say too much because I don't know a great deal about it. It's just bits that I'm getting to find out. So they're marching there, they're chanting, they're doing, to me, what looks like some sort of, the only way I can put it, some sort of training, something. Got to be so careful what you say on your own, Now, I've also heard that we were not allowed to stay in America, and we weren't allowed to stay in Sweden.
So that's a clip that's gone viral, and what's happened is far-right opportunists and Islamophobes have now jumped on this and said this is an Islamic cult group which is setting up a training camp in Crewe. And they're basically trying to, take over the area and create a Muslim army.
Who are they?
So who are they? There's nothing Islamic about them, I'm very confident to say. It's headed by a guy who claims to be the descendant of the Prophet. His name is Abdullah Hashim.
Right.
And he's of half Egyptian American descent.
Right.
And he was originally in America, and then has set up this cult group and has now gone around the globe sort of gathering followers and moving headquarters from one location to another. Went to Egypt for a bit. I think he was expelled. Went to Sweden for a bit. Left under suspicious circumstances. Now he's ended up in Crewe in the Midlands of England and has caused quite an alarm locally. Now, he seems to have claimed that he's the Mahdi. He's claimed to be an imam, like, one of the Shia imams. He's also said all sorts of peculiar things, like he's the Messiah and that he's here to represent the Yemeni, which is like another figure, a sort of end of times figure as well. So he's got like a hodgepodge of views and beliefs, which is taken from Christianity, Judaism and Islam, unfortunately, Shia Islam specifically. So he talks in Arabic, he does salawat. They recognize Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but then they also have all sorts of peculiar beliefs afterwards. So this is not an Islamic group. And I think the reason why I wanted to discuss it with you here today, Roshan, on the show is to clarify, to put on record that this is not an Islamic cult.
Yeah.
This is a cult which has nothing to do with Islam, and all of their peculiar paramilitary style behaviors and trainings and whatnot has nothing to do with our community. They're not recognized. No one in that area, Muslim or non-Muslim, knows who they are, has anything to do with them, and everyone, including local Muslims, are intimidated and confused by this group.
Are they? Yes, I was just going to say that you mentioned that they were Shia, or they have some Shia beliefs. Do the Shia disassociate themselves from them as well? Or?
Yeah, I haven't seen any official statements, but I think that they would.
Yeah.
Again, this is a lesser known group. They've claimed that they have some members being persecuted in Egypt and Iran.
Right.
I haven't seen any evidence of the Iran claim, but they claim to have some membership there that's being persecuted. But the problem is, Roshan, the reason, I mean, people will be wondering, why on earth am I even talking about these losers, these weirdos? The fact is, they talk Arabic. They have claimed in some of their talks and lectures that they are a continuation of all Abrahamic faiths, including Islam. This guy's of Egyptian heritage. He says salawat on the Prophet. He recognizes the Prophet of the Prophet, he claims. And they also wave the black banner, which has Arabic writing on it.
Yeah.
They say Allah. They don't say like God or something else. They say Allah. And they use a lot of imagery from Shiaism, as you can see in the picture here. And non-Muslims looking at this think that this is an Islamic sect.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if he's scaring people in Crewe and the wider area, and Islamophobes online are saying this is an Islamic sect training for some kind of Muslim takeover of Britain, then actual Muslims may be targeted in hate crimes going forward.
Enough.
So that's why I'm putting it out there. So brothers and sisters, I don't know exactly how to deal with this. We are going to report on this a little bit just to set the record straight for locals in the area that this is not an Islamic group. But I think perhaps Muslims in the Crewe area need to make efforts to disassociate themselves from this group, because unfortunately there are efforts being made to link normal Muslims with this group. And we've experienced this before. The Qadianis, non-Muslim, constantly we're told that they're Muslim, and they're not. And then crazy groups like that Shia group, you know, the one behind the Lady of Heaven movie, they did the same stuff. They have like a weird temple somewhere in the countryside where they train supporters.
Yes, Al-Habib.
They dress all in black. Yes, Al-Habib. They dress all in black. They do these weird training rituals. They're cultish in behavior, and they claim to be Muslim. They made this movie. It misrepresented everything to do with Islam, and it caused a lot of problems. So again, we've got a new enemy, I would say, of our values here, and we just have to make that effort to set the record straight so people researching this won't be misled. So maybe our Dawah guys have to sort of mention it in brief, but you know, we don't want to platform this group.
Let's nip this in the bud.
We don't want to platform these weirdos, because that's what they are weird. And I don't encourage you to check out any of their material, because obviously it's a waste of time. But just with the issue of Islamophobia in general, the right wing are looking for any excuse to attack Muslims. And their conspiracy that's going around now is that Muslims want to take over this country. They're training. Some have even gone as far as to say that Muslims have arms hidden in homes and stuff like that, that we have to be careful of. And then you see these complete weirdos, these freaks, marching around all in black, waving black flags. And then you talking in Arabic, and then of course people are going to start getting alarmed by this, and it's going to further the radicalization of people in this country against Muslims. So that's basically the reason I brought it up, Rosh.
You know, I think it's good that we nip this in the bud and get on the front foot, because this is the next thing they're going to be trying to target us over. But I'm glad you mentioned about because you know every week there's a different focus for the right wing and the far right in their enmity towards Muslims. And this week, it was actually dogs. it was Muslims and dogs.
I saw you tweet about that.
For some reason, all over my social media, I was seeing Muslims hate dogs, you know, and, you know, with the implication is that it's un-British because we're a nation of pet lovers, and they want to kill all our dogs. They want to do terror attacks against our dogs, or that kind of stuff. It was crazy stuff. And I even went on the the social media of the comedian John Cleese, Monty Python and Fawlty Towers, who's apparently he's an Islamophobic nutcase. I mean, he's in his 80s now, but he's decided to spend the last years of his life inciting hatred against Muslims in the most blatant way. And on his social media, there was this meme which was going viral with a dog, I don't know, Cocker Spaniel or whatever it was, in a burqa. and I've seen this meme everywhere, do you know what I mean? And I patiently explained that, we don't hate dogs. They're God's creatures, alhamdulillah. They deserve, love and care like any other creature of God. But we just like to keep our distance because they lick their bits and they crap everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And like we just want to keep them in the backyard or, just don't let them in the house, stuff like that, but we don't hate them at all. And of course, it's like they're deaf to any reasoned argument and they keep on tweeting their rubbish. So yeah, this week's is dogs. Next week is probably going to be that. So let's get on the front foot.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been loads of attempts by people to claim they're the Mahdi. There was a very famous one in Saudi Arabia. I think it was like in the 70s.
Yes.
Where they actually took over
Masjid al-Haram.
Masjid al-Haram, and he was killed and his supporters, I think, were executed or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, there's been all sorts of weirdos pop up that claim this or claim that. And unfortunately, we're unlucky enough to have one pop up in Crewe. So
yeah, look, I mean, if they obey the law, they can do what they want. But I think they have to possibly explain themselves to the local community about who they are. And we have to clearly say that they're not Muslims, they're not part of our community. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's see how that story develops. We've also got another one here. This is the Northampton imam who was given a suspended prison sentence after conducting an Islamic marriage of two 16-year-olds. Now, the imam basically confessed, but he said that he wasn't aware of a law change at the time of conducting this Islamic marriage. It's changed in recent years to the age of 18, so you have to be 18 years old now to get married. However, it's a bit of a weird one because obviously, I mean, people are obviously in relationships around the age of 16, aren't they, or even younger, but they're not allowed to get married. And then this imam did a marriage to two people who were consenting.
Yes. And
even now, they still do not have any regrets about doing it. Plus, the marriage is not recognized by the state. So Islamic marriages is a purely voluntary thing, which is done by people in their own spare time if they want to. It's not officially recognized by Britain. So it wasn't even a proper marriage in the eyes of the state.
Secular law,
In secular law, it wasn't even an actual marriage. It was just two people gathering and saying some stuff in a room. Do you know what I mean? That's basically it. So what do you make of it, Roshan?
It's an interesting case.
It was condemned by the far right, as they always do.
The far right have latched onto this as an example of, because they want to portray us as paedophiles, basically, don't they? And they saw an opportunity to do this. I mean, the imam was pictured outside the court. I do have access to that picture, but I chose not to show it because I don't want to demonize the brother, who I think here has made an innocent mistake because he didn't know what the law was. And the judge accepted that, there was no kind of predatory behavior here. He was just trying to get two people married that loved each other, that wanted to get married. The law has traditionally been that you can get married at the age of 16. And in Scotland, that is still the law. But they changed it about a year ago, and he just was completely unaware of the change. Now, he probably should have been aware of that change. So there's two issues here for me. Is that one is that the girl, who's a Muslim convert, she wanted to marry this boy. And they were both 16. She didn't want to live in sin. She didn't want to commit haram. She wanted to get married. She went to one mosque and they refused. And the brother at this mosque said yes. Now, the contradiction there for me is that you can have sex at 16, but you can't get married. So this woman, you see, it's okay to live in sin at the age of 16 or to play around and fornicate, but you're not allowed to get married and enter into a serious relationship in the eyes of God. So that's contradiction number one. It doesn't make sense to me. You were even allowed to have an abortion in this country at 16 or even younger than 16, but you can't get married. So look, as soon as you reach puberty, you get interested in the opposite sex. And Islam tells us to channel those instincts rather than to fornicate and, commit sin. So that's contradiction number one that I don't get. The second thing is that this wasn't a legally binding marriage. Now, I have subsequently found out that the law even kind of covers, the change in the law even covers religious marriages, not just secular marriages, civil marriages. So that's something that I've actually just found out this morning. So technically he did break the law, but I don't think that law should exist, because I think at 16 years old, you're young at 16. Yeah, I wouldn't encourage my children to get married at 16. And I think most of us would feel the same way, especially living in this country where they're probably not as emotionally mature as they might be in the Muslim world, where they have responsibilities at an earlier age. Like, I wouldn't have an issue with two people in Yemen, for example, getting married at 16, because they're much more mature. They're like a 30-year-old in the UK, in terms of their emotional maturity. But here, I wouldn't encourage at 16. However, if it's a choice between, fornicating or living in sin and getting married, then obviously getting married is the better option. Simple as that. Especially if it's thought through. If the children know what they're getting into. And I understand that, the reason why the government say they changed the law is because a sexual relationship could be like a one-night stand, whereas a marriage is a longer-term commitment. Therefore, you need to be a little bit more emotionally mature. I kind of get that. But ultimately, people are getting divorced all the time now, right? So marriage is no longer a lifelong commitment, for Muslims and non-Muslims to a large extent, especially non-Muslims. So the whole thing doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe the brother should be demonized. I think he made an innocent mistake. I personally think the law should go back to 16, as it is in Scotland. And that would take into account the fact that, men like women and women like men, and they want to have a halal channel for their urges.
That's the thing. I think the issue of marriage, I think, is something which I can definitely comment on, because it seems to be an institution or an idea that's under attack, and it has been for a long time. Marriage is now being portrayed as something that's bad. You should kind of build a body count. And once you get married, it's like, oh, sorry, dude. And, oh, you should have thought twice about that almost. And the fact is that marriage, the whole point of it is to not just live a lifestyle that's pleasing to Allah. That's a big part of it. But also there are practical reasons behind it. It protects the woman's rights from the abuses of men, which is exactly what we have now, women being abused left, right and centre. It means that the children from that relationship also have rights that are protected, and socially as well, the woman and the child from that relationship would be protected in this situation, So there are all sorts of abuses which are widespread today, and it's the result of, the collapse of religion and the fact that this secular, liberal sort of extremism that we're living under now is not dealing with a lot of the social issues that religion has always dealt with. It's always been there. They regulate and they make laws and whatnot and try and police it. And then on certain issues, they just get complicated and entangled, as you've highlighted with all of these contradictions. I mean, the fact is you talk about, marriage is a long-term commitment. Well, yeah, but also having a one-night stand can lead to a child. And that's a big commitment as well. And, it's leading to death. I mean, the abortion thing is outrageous.
Absolutely.
There are human lives being massacred.
But not only that, if you have an abortion, that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That will psychologically scar you for the rest of your life. If you're a normal woman.
It's huge. You've killed a child, an unborn child. That's a human life. It has a soul. And it could have had a life. There are so many people that should be here and they've been killed off. And there are women out there, I know for a fact, and even women will abort their children. The men wouldn't even have known about it, and then they would have wanted that child. It's a mess. This whole issue is a mess. That's why I love religion so much, and that's why I love Islam so much. Is it polices this. It protects the sanctity of family and of the institution of marriage, and it puts a blueprint down so you know what you're doing, you don't make silly mistakes, and that people's lives and rights are protected. That's why marriage needs to be defended. Just a simple thing. Muslims take it for granted because we respect and love marriage, but we need to promote it, we need to defend it, and we need to potentially fight against anti-religious legislation, anti-religious movements in this country, because it causes a lot of problems.
I mean, the 16-year-old should just have gone to Scotland, got married in Scotland and come back.
Yeah,
and it would have been fine.
Yeah, I know. It's an interesting story. Tell us what you think, brothers and sisters. Do you agree with us? I suppose marriage is something that we all agree with, but how can we protect it? The marriage age and all that type of stuff. Maybe you guys have an opinion about it. I'd like to hear it. We are going to talk about the comment section just shortly, but I thought I'd give you a chance to react to this because this caused quite a stir. People do like to talk about football. There was the Africa Cup of Nations final, Senegal versus Morocco, and it deteriorated into an absolute...
I know exactly what you want to say.
I was going to say shift storm.
Yes.
When there was
shift to show.
Exactly. There was punch ups. There was a towel scandal where a towel was being nicked. The Senegalese team stormed off the pitch. There was accusations of cheating on the Moroccan side. The Senegalese were accused of being unsportsmanlike. And in the end, Senegal did win 1-0.
Yeah.
There was a missed penalty. Oh my God.
I was watching
everything.
I was
all in
watching
the last half an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastically entertaining, I have to admit. But so basically, the Moroccans were very hostile. The ball boys were trying to nick the ball. The towel. They were trying to nick the towel. So the goalkeeper, couldn't wipe the ball in the hope that he would miss kick and Morocco would gain an advantage. And the kind of stand-in goalkeeper was having physical fights with the ball boy. Then there was trouble in the stands. There was some dodgy decisions, I have to say, against Senegal. They scored what looked like was a pretty legitimate goal. And then 2 minutes later, a soft penalty was awarded against them. They walk off the pitch. Sadio Mane gets them back on. Then the Moroccan hero attacker basically dinks the Panenka into the goalkeeper's hands embarrassingly, and then Senegal go on to win. Then there's trouble after the final whistle, there's argy-bargy, and on social media it's continued with Africans calling the Moroccans racist, Moroccans or Algerians making mocking gestures towards the Senegalese. It's all horrible, horrible, horrible stuff between two Muslim nations, two Muslim peoples. My only comment is that why are Muslims getting so irate about this? It's football, and football is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's 11 people or 22 people kicking a ball around. After Gaza, we should realize the place that football ranks in our priorities, and it should be right at the bottom. No one should be getting angry about a football game, about your side winning, your side losing. And you shouldn't be overly happy when they do win as well, because it means nothing whatsoever. And I just think it shows how far our priorities have, fallen in terms of, it's literally, if you were a God-fearing Muslim that puts Islam first, that has the Quran in your heart, that has Salah in your soul, you wouldn't give two monkeys about what's going on in a football match because it's just not important. Yeah. That's my only comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought we should react to it. Brothers and sisters, tell us what you think. Do you back Senegal's narrative on this? Do you back Morocco's narrative on this? Or do you back Roshan's one and just decide that, there's bigger issues out there? We should all be behind the Palestinian cause. And I mean, it's a bit of a shame.
I must admit, I did want Senegal to win simply because I think there is a lot of racism, even amongst Muslims, towards black Muslims. And for that reason alone, I kind of wanted Senegal to win. Yeah. But, I mean, these scenes are absolutely disgusting. No one should be fighting over football. No one should be getting irate. It's just a silly game at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I would, if I was, king of the world, I would actually ban professional football or professional sport, because I think it's got to the stage where our priorities are so mixed up where like a nurse, that they're the ones that should getting paid a lot of money. And the footballers should be paying. It should be a hobby, something you do in your spare time, something to keep yourself fit and healthy. It shouldn't be professional. I just don't agree with the concept of professional sport at all.
Yeah, I think I'd just take the money out of it. I think banning it's a bit too far for me.
100 years ago, these guys would be like court gestures.
Money out of it, I think.
You know these people that juggle in front of kings? That's what they would be like. They would have been court gestures. It's just our modern world has prioritized entertainment and monetized entertainment over everything. And that just shows what shallow people we are.
I'm going to bring up the comments now. Just give me a sec.
Okay. All right. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to have a regular feature, inshallah, at the end of the show where we take your best comments from the previous show, we highlight them, we read them out, and we discuss them. So what do we got, Robert? What's the first one?
So
this is the bit where Robert chooses the comments which favour him.
So we've got one comment here.
Didn't we talk about this last week?
I'm with Robert on the issue of the prayer rooms. There are free prayer rooms in stadiums and airports, even historically in Christian European countries, but some Muslim businesses are charging people to pray. That's not right.
You won't let it go, will you, Robert?
So, yeah, I'm just highlighting it because you were adamant.
Let's move. I think we made our points.
You were so adamant. You were like, no one agrees with you, Rob. No one agrees with you. And I found quite a few people that did, actually.
Well, nice
YouTube.
Comment from your mum there, Robert. But yeah, okay.
Well, we did talk about Iran last week. The news has quietened down somewhat. I mean, we were basically convinced that it was going to be World War III, I think, last week.
We picked it up. It didn't happen. Damn.
Yeah. So, what can we say? But obviously the threat still remains. We got pro and not pro-Iran comments. Let's read out one of each. So this one from Zishan says, Iran does more for Sunni Shia unity than people give it credit for. As for Syria, they supported the government for geopolitical reasons, not because they have an inherent desire to kill Syrians because they're all Sunnis, for goodness sake. It's not rocket science to understand Iran's role in Syria. And then they elaborate a bit more. Basically, the point is quite clear. Iran, the idea that they're trying to just massacre Sunnis because they're Sunni, because they're sectarian, they disagree with that and that there's more nuance to this. And, it is what it is.
So what's the opposite one?
The other comment, this one says, Assalamu alaikum. One thing I've noticed is that you both have small feet.
I've got size 9s. Is that
Perhaps
small?
it's just the camera angle. I've got short legs because I can never quite reach the floor.
How big are your shoe size? What's your shoe size?
Oh, I'm like a 10.
I'm a 9.
I'm a nice.
So that's not
solid
small, right?
10.
If you're a 6 or a 5 or a 6, that's small. But no, I'm a 9.
No. I think I've got short, fat legs. I can't quite reach. I'm sort of like this on the chair. Anyway, now to serious comment regarding Iran. Don't you think that it's about time the regime is replaced? Iran does not represent Islam, nor is it an Islamic republic, really. You could argue that the regime has been a bad advertisement for Islam in the same way that it says here the Taliban might be.
Right.
So this is they're sort of anti-all.
Yeah, look,
Muslim governments, I think.
Look, I think Trump has put on hold his attack against Iran for the time being. I think it's temporary. I think before he leaves office, he's going to want to have the scalp of Ayatollah Khamenei and the Islamic Republic of Iran. I think he's determined to do it, and I think he will do it at some point. I think he pulled back maybe because countries in the region like Qatar and others, even Saudi Arabia, may have asked him to pull back and not strike simply because they didn't want to deal with the next day and the spillover from a civil war in Iran. But also, I think he realizes that the Iranian opposition are not what they're cracked out to be. They don't have the power or support on the ground, and any kind of regime change operation in Iran is going to take years and years of boots on the ground, blood and treasure. It's not going to be a walk in the park. So I think he pulled back for those two reasons, but I think it's a temporary. At some point, he is going to try to go for the regime change option. Look, I'm not going to comment on everything the brothers said, but I think that obviously Iran's actions in Syria were geopolitical, but the fact is that hundreds of thousands of Muslims were killed with Iran's help in Syria. So if you're a believing and practicing Muslim, that is a black mark against Iran. There's no doubt about that. In terms of them not really being an Islamic Republic, well, they're a Shia Islamic Republic according to their fiqh. I guess they're following their fiqh. I don't believe in their fiqh, but from their point of view, they're doing what they're supposed to do. I think they've done some good things. I think their position on Palestine is commendable. I think that they have taken a good position vis-a-vis the West in trying to be independent. They have promoted Islam as well. So I think these things are good. I don't agree with their position on Syria. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy. There's a lot of bluster. They should have done more in many areas, and it's not perfect, but they have been under sanctions as well. So I think if you're going to look at Iran and judge it, you have to judge it in a nuanced way. Look at it in the round. There are pros and cons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that, this idea that they're not an Islamic republic or it should be replaced because they're misrepresenting Islam, I think that's a bit harsh. I mean, regime change is never good, especially because it always works in the West's favor, right?
Yeah.
So, I
think anyone that's old enough to remember Iraq twice, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, etc., just see how those regime change operations, how do they work out for you? None of them are smooth operations which lead to utopia or, some kind of Shangri-La type situation. They result in civil wars. They result in hundreds of thousands of people dead. They result in millions of refugees, death and destruction, and spillover into the surrounding region. Every single one has gone down like that. So anyone who is advocating regime change in Iran basically has Israel's interests at heart, or just likes to see people suffer and die. Simple as that.
Yeah, there's two comments here. I'll read the below one first. These Iranian dissidents mentioned in the episode, I've seen them. They were drunk in central London and physically attacked pro-Palestine activists protesting for the hunger strikers. And I think it also said there that the police had to stop them. I've seen them firsthand, and it's not pretty. They're absolutely vile, which is what we've seen as well, Roshan. We've met these Iran dissident protesters several times in the past, and they're very vile. And they don't just hate religious Iranians; they do hate the Palestine movement as well. They hate all Muslims. They hate all Islam. They desecrate Islam as well. I mean, who would have supported the regime change in Iran? People like that, that Quran desecrator, what guy got killed in Sweden, Salwan Mamika.
Yes.
He is of their ilk. I think he was Iraqi, but he's the same. He wanted regime change in Iran, and he condemned them and tried to attack like Khamenei all the time outside their embassy. So those are the types, Quran desecrating, enemies of Palestine, enemies of Muslims. There's also this comment from Bashir. It's related to the Somaliland topic. He said, Roshan and Robert, I'm from Somaliland, and I have never felt more depressed my whole life, except on the day the Zionists announced their stupid recognition. Please forgive us, not the whole tribe committed this act. It's just a few munafiqeen.
No, absolutely, brother. I forgive you. You don't need to ask for my forgiveness. We fully realize that this is not the entire people of Somaliland. We've made that point over and over again. It's just the leadership and their supporters, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Somaliland thing is going to continue because now Reform UK are backing them, apparently.
Yes, Nigel Farage turned up.
They've got the backing of the UAE.
Yeah.
There is that thing, there's like an alliance building up. You've got Saudi, Turkey and Pakistan doing their alliance. I think that's to combat the UAE and the Israeli alliance.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Let's see how that plays out. I think Somalia could
We
end
do
up
need
being
a
bit
Muslim
of a
NATO.
battleground,
We do need a Muslim NATO. I think, obviously, it's obvious that the military superiority of United States in particular, but Israel too, or China or Russia, it's so kind of significant that if one Muslim country is on its own, it's going to get picked off. So we do need a collective shield. Pakistan has a huge role to play in that because it's got a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
And if there is this Muslim NATO where an attack on one is an attack on all of them, then it gives them some degree of protection. So Muslims need to put their differences aside because they face an existential threat from these ravenous Americans and Zionists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, those are all the comments that stood out for me. I think we've reached the end of the show. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Roshan, before we finish up?
Obviously we're coming up to Ramadan, brothers and sisters. So, it's about a month away, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, something like that.
So Ramadan, we haven't advertised yet, but we do have an iftar in Ramadan. I think it's on February the 28th, but we'll get the publicity perhaps next week.
Inshallah.
So that you can come along and meet us face to face and talk to us, benefit from our wisdom, and we'll benefit from yours, inshallah. have some nice food and some good networking. But yeah, it's that time of year again very soon where we not only focus on our ibadah and increase our good deeds, but we also try to make a lot of money for 5 pillars so that we can survive for the rest of the year. And we're going to need your help, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah. And obviously, you know, let us know. I think during Ramadan, I get a bit more freedom to focus on stories like in the dawah scene and stuff like that, because obviously everyone wants to see that content during that month. So yeah, if there's any good stories, any good conversion stories to Islam, any dawah activities or initiatives happening across the country, do let us know. You can email it in or leave a comment in the comment section, and inshallah we'll get back to you, because yeah, it's the month for obviously religion. So yeah, it's a good time to cover those stories. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It helps the channel immensely. Leave those comments in the comment section below, and inshallah we'll react to them in future episodes. But for now, Assalamu alaikum. Ma salama.